My name is Ashley Hills. I graduated from St. Joseph's University with my bachelor's in biology and a minor in English in 2015. I received my master's in public health from the George Washington University in 2022. I'm currently based in Washington, D.C., and I work for the management consulting firm Guidehouse as a consultant in their national security segment. My current role is with the Office of the Global AIDS Coordinator in Health Diplomacy, OGAC, and this is an office within the Department of State that leads the implementation of PEPFAR, or the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief Project. And this is an almost 20-year-old project focused on tackling the global HIV/AIDS epidemic, and it works closely with UNAIDS towards the goal of ending AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. What I do specifically is support the program results and impact monitoring for epidemic control prime team with the development of processes that construct the common interagency financial reporting, monitoring, budgeting framework of PEPFAR. I'm involved in the development of analytical tools and dossiers that are used to analyze HIV epidemiologic data and health finance data. I also serve as a liaison to the chairs of the PEPFAR program in Malawi and the West Africa region. And in this capacity, I get to help with programmatic and budget questions. I engage in the ongoing evaluation of PEPFAR funded projects, and I assist in preparations of quarterly reports and year-end ambassador briefings. And I also get to be very good with knowing the different government acronyms. Yeah, so after graduating from St. Joe's, I worked for 3 years in genetics research in Baltimore. I chose this path right out of university because I wanted to gain a strong technical foundation before going to graduate school. I knew that my long-term career goals were not in research, but genetics had always been of interest to me. And this role I had really let me live and breathe it. And while at St. Joe's, I was involved in academic genetics research. I was a TA for a genetics course. But it was in this job that I got to see how much genetics is applied in clinical care and how it's growing as its own biotechnology industry. And so after 3 years in Baltimore, where I was taking graduate courses and applying to programs, I landed on focusing my career growth in the field of public health. And this felt right to me because my broader interests in epidemiology, program planning, policy development, all of which are facets of public health. And so I started my graduate program in the fall of 2018 and chose a general accelerated track so that I could take that smorgasbord of courses in public health topics like global health, environmental and occupational health, biostatistics, and healthcare policy. And so I'd say that there's no typical path to a public health program. I think that certainly in the years since I started and completed the program, the general public has a better idea of what public health is. And so I think that public health programs may be more popular and even offered at the bachelor's level. But I'm glad with the program that I took because I was with individuals who were many years out of school. They were practicing physicians, dentists, seasoned policymakers who all wanted to enhance their practice through the lens of public health. And this made for a really rich learning experience. And I think too that I hope that my background in genetics also brought something unique to my cohort. In my current role as a consultant, I think that soft skills are important. For example, the ability to be collaborative, to speak up and communicate when there are issues, to have a key eye for solutions are all soft skills that I think serve someone well in this industry. And these are all skills that I developed at St. Joe's. I was exposed to the concept of magis or more, which is a hallmark of Jesuit education. And I took that commitment to heart, really trying to model personal accountability, high expectations, going beyond what is expected, and interacting with others with generosity and empathy. And so I think this commitment to the Magis is shared by the wider St. Joseph's community, and I found it reflected in the professors' dedication to students. So I'd also say that St. Joe's taught me to take a social justice view to the world. And this was through the various student learning opportunities and the theology and philosophy courses that I took that covered contemporary issues like bioethics. And these were all things at St. Joe's that opened my eyes and opened my friends' eyes to the needs of others who may be suffering in the ways that we perhaps conduct business or in other ways. And I think that St. Joe's really encourages us and really pushes us to make that our concern, to address why these people may be suffering in various ways. And I think that once you take on living by the Magis or by social justice, it's hard to stop, which isn't the worst thing. And I think it serves you well personally and professionally in that you do search out and discern those opportunities and roles where you can perform. I'm not quite sure what my career is yet, but I'd say that my path is marked by me pursuing my interests. So genetics, public health, national security in public health, and the learning as I go and learning what clicks for me and what feels good and where I can see myself excelling and not getting bored with. So for students, I'd say I'd encourage them to cast a wide net with activities and then start to reel it in. Be okay with feeling uncomfortable in new situations, and even take a scientific view to it and start to tease apart what were those things that might have made you feel uncomfortable, and what were those things that really clicked and you think that you can capitalize on, those things that those aspects that you enjoyed and really could do well in. So that could be being a liaison for one of the service learning courses, being a TA for a chemistry lab, a member of the a cappella group, a writer for the Hawk, whatever. But I think that students should engage in activities in the areas that they enjoy, because when you're doing that, you'll naturally look for ways to improve the program or sustain it. And then those are experiences that you can speak to when you apply for roles. There are moments that you can point to and say, I took ownership for this and I was able to achieve this. First, for virtual networking, I need to state up front that you need to be on video. That's non-negotiable. For all their networking, I would encourage students to have and deliver a dynamite opening pitch. No more than 2 minutes to share your background, your interests, why you're speaking to the person that day, and perhaps for what purpose. From there, you can open up the floor to the individual by asking them to share about their role, their career path, and to that last point, I would also recommend that students plan beforehand what they'd like to get out of the networking. Is it to learn about the company? Is it to learn about the company to land a job with the company, or is it purely informational? And I think that these are questions that you can pose to yourself beforehand, because then it will help you guide the conversation, and you can, add this when you think things are getting stale, or if you're getting the sense that that person's a little unsure as to how they can help you. In those moments, you can say, I'm glad to be speaking with you today because I'm really interested in interning with your company. And this was the role that I found, and I wanted to get a sense of what skills are needed for it. And so, great. Now you and that person both have a basis from which you can start a conversation. I do believe that I've been fortunate not to be faced with barriers that truly prevented me from going where I'd like to go. I have been faced with personal setbacks and disappointments, which certainly stung in the moment, but after time revealed other paths that were better suited for me. For students who'd like to dive into the world of public health, I'd recommend that they read books like The Health Gap by Michael Marmot, Mountains Beyond Mountains, a sort of biographical book about Dr. Paul Farmer, and The Hot Zone by Richard Preston, which is about the one of the early Ebola outbreaks. And I'd also encourage students to look to websites like um, the American Public Health Association, APHA, and the website Health Affairs. These are great resources for research, current affairs, and students should also check out the Emory Public Health Connection, which is associated with Emory University's School of Public Health, and it is an excellent job listing site. I wish that someone had told me that it's okay not to go to graduate school straight out of undergrad. My parents told me that, but I think that there was perhaps a pressure on campus to have that next step locked and loaded. And graduate school is an easy one to put in that box. And graduate school immediately after undergraduate can be a good option for people. I think if you're able to launch into a PhD program in a topic that you're head over heels passionate about, then that's wonderful. But I don't think it needs to be that immediate next step like year five. Instead, uh, I wish that I told myself, and I hope that people tell students that it's a good time to take the time to go out into the world and gain some street smarts, earn some money, start saving, meet other people from wildly different backgrounds. And then once you're more confident and sure about your next step of schooling, of education, then apply to graduate school. And I think for all students, just know that you'll be incredibly well prepared because you're taught to think critically, you're taught to question, you're taught to not take things for granted, but to really excel from that experience that you had at St. Joe's.